of people have asked me, why do I like the 120 Prados so much, the 120 or the 120s? And you know what, I caught up to one, and well, we got it in the view, so let's have a talk about it. Because one of the things I can see just looking at it, but I'll just rattle off what comes to mind. Give me 10 minutes, I'll do my best, and we'll say why I like the 120s the best. Now, first thing, most importantly, I believe the best products, quality products, were made between 2005 and 2015. I'll sort of draw a circle around that. Things actually were really getting good and just getting better and better and better into that, I suppose, up to the 2015. And then, although technology, maybe it just kept going too fast. Technology got better and there's improvements, but there's a bit of quality control, and maybe it's like things haven't been tested as well. There's too much technology making things unreliable, weird things happening. So there's just that era. So the 120 comes into that 03 to 09, so it is in the middle there, and towards the end, I guess, it's the last of the best. It's tested and proven over 7 or 8 years type thing. Now, I'm not sure if this guy's got the diesel or the V6, but we're about to find out what's going on, if he's going to give it to it or what, because it's a good clear time to overtake. Bit slow to get going, could have the old 1kz in it. Let's just see how he goes, eh? Let's get this job over and done with. Any cars coming? No, we're good to go. We're not mucking around. We don't muck around, mate. We get the job done where I come from. When you're out on the wrong side of the road, get the job done, but plenty of road, so we'll just stick with him. That was alright. Bit slow to get going, so I'll say the 1kz, because if I spooled this up, the 1kd, mate, I would have been fast like a rocket. Anyway, talking about this car, so I hope you get the picture so far. So it's in the right era, it's quality, it's made in Japan, like most of the Toyotas, not all of them. So of course the made in Japan stuff I certainly like the best. I like things that have been tested and proven. I like things in that era. I'm not talking just Toyotas, anything made, manufactured, I don't care if it's made in Japan or the US, or look, you want to buy stuff that's made in a quality country, like even things that are made in Australia around that time, you're probably going to find things just got better, and then too much technology, not enough quality control testing, and it just sort of, you know, makes it unreliable. That's the way I feel about it. Now, looking at this 120 here, let's zoom in a little bit. Looking at this 120, which we'll try and hope he doesn't mind. Wonder if he's subscribed with the bell on. Are you subscribed with the bell on? You know, just a reminder, you can do whatever you want, but tell you what, you know, I was just watching this channel talking about health and stuff. Mate, 7 million subscribers. That is just out of control, and I can't even get to 100,000. So do me a favour, subscribe, turn the bell on, tell your friends, because we've got a whole heap of information on this channel. I reckon it's worth a subscription. I mean, 70 or 80,000 people did so far, so maybe there's a few more, hopefully. Let's see how we go. I mean, it's always growing, but it'd be good to, you know, let's just get it boosted up. Let's get to 100,000 at least. There's a target. And appreciate your support so far, and I'm here to help you, so it's probably worth sticking around and watching the videos to the end. Now, this 120, looking at it, so I've been behind a lot of caravans and boats and cars, and I do a lot of driving. I've been around. It's just a very well, it's got a good footing. Okay, so the track on it, how wide it is versus how wide the vehicle is and how it tapers into the roof. It's not a massive, big, wide vehicle. It's not a really large car. It's a good size vehicle. The balance looks good, right? So for how wide the track is and how wide the top of the car is, I just feel that it's balanced a lot better than, for example, the one before it, the 90, we'll call it the 90. They were a bit narrower maybe, and seemed a bit high, not as robust. And you know what I mean? Like with the GQ Patrol was probably the best pick of the bunch for a nice wide track with a very low vehicle. So anti-roll factor and handling, as far as, I mean, handling, you know, you got live axles, but you know, that sort of factor, there's a lot of things that come into account. But this vehicle, it's lighter than a 150, right? So it's a good balance of, you know, with a stock standard empty 120, it's quite a light vehicle. I think you're down getting close to it. It's about the 2 ton mark somewhere, depending which engine and, you know, with fuel or not and whatever. Okay, other things I like, it's got a lot of plastic protection on it. So the plastic trims on the sides of the doors, when you're on the tracks and you hit a stick sometimes and they do flick up and hit the bodywork, only takes a bit of a lump, you know, a bit of a, you know, what do you call it, a, you know, that bit on the stick that sticks out. about. If the stick comes up and hits the paintwork and it happens to have that high spot, but you get dents in your paintwork if you've got metalwork where the plastic. I've had another 120 going the other way. There you go. There's plenty of 120s out here, by the way, because like I said, last of the best. And I think there's a list of vehicles that are last of the best, and I'm going to be doing more videos talking about what they are also. So once again, you might want to stay tuned. But you've got the plastic protection, so the sticks come up, whack, and you feel the gunk into the plastic. And you know, it might leave a mark, it'll probably polish off, and at the end of the day, there's not going to be any dents or major scratches or anything like that. It's just a bit of plastic. And of course the vehicle's older, so we care less. Even though we love our 120s, we love them, we look after them, we service them well. Speaking of servicing, I think this one's done 10,000 k's without an oil change, so straight back for an oil change now, and some other maintenance, of course. I did the diff oil twice, there you go, for people that have been watching the videos and noticed the diff problem after the diff guy worked on it, put a new diff in there. A couple of thousand k's later I did change the oil again. I'm glad I did from what I saw. There you go, that's another story in another video. So the plastic's good. I like the look of the flares, the way they sort of stick out around the wheel arches, a bit like the old 80 series, similar look to that. I like the 80 series look, and I like the 120 series look. And funny thing is, well, you know, 80, 100, 120, not far afterwards, is it? Except, you know, the paint's generally the same colour, so yeah, a little bit of a more newer, modern type look to it. I like the way the rear windows open as well. It's handy like at the moment. So quite often when I plug in the fridge is in the car, I'll put the lead out the window. I've got a bit of a setup there where I can easily just pop the window open, pass the lead out. There's a power board there, and that runs the charger and the fridge on 240 volt. If I'm leaving the fridge on, that sort of thing, so it's handy. And also at the moment, the solar panel that's on the roof, you can just put the lead through the window. That's where it's been for this whole trip, no issues. So there's a couple of things to think about. The other things in the 120, in the G, you can have a GXL, but it's still got a lot of space in the back, storage space, where in the back of the 150 GXL with those rear seats. So basically the whole rear seat setup I like, because in the 120 you can easily just unclip those, take them out, no tools needed, that third row, and you just clip the plastic covers back on, and it's still quite spacious in the back. I'll say it again, very spacious in the back. Now you can get a 150 Prado GXL, not very spacious in the back in comparison. A lot of work to remove the seats, still a little bit untidy then because of the way it is, which is why the GX and the 150 is the go, I believe. Flat floor, different trims, no rear aircon, no cup holders, heaps more space in the back of the GX 150. But we're talking about the 120. I'm trying to talk about the 120. So I'm trying not to bag out the other cars because I like them as well. But I kind of like the 120 the best. If I've got time in this video, I'll maybe try and remember to include why I don't like, maybe why I don't like 120s. But at the moment I'm still going on why I like them. I haven't said much so far, have I? So quality car, you know, just at that era, plastic protection, looks good. There's got to be something else. The windows that open, we said that. Just the size, the track, the width. I think I like the look of them. You know, when they were stock standard, they don't, you know, it looks good with a bull bar on it. But the back, I like the look of it. Maybe just I'm old or something. I like the sides. What else do I like? Let me have a think about it. Oh yeah, one of the biggest things I like about the 120 over the 150, it's right in front of us, and this guy's actually got a bit of a spoiler on the back there. I don't know if that helps or not. I haven't run one of those. I'd have to do it myself to really know, but it's the spoiler on the back of the 150 where that windscreen wiper goes up in there. They're quite a big chunk of plastic. They can come loose. I've got a video where I stripped the rear door on ours and sort of fixed all that up. It was quite loose, not as in the bolts were loose, but they all needed to be nipped up and refitted to get it to fit nicely. So what the issue is though that I don't like is it sucks all the dust. Any small amount of rain and spray, you got a clean car, you get a bit of drizzling, it all just comes in on the back window. If you're on a dirt road, all the dust gets sucked straight in there, which means it sticks onto any water. If it's dry, it just piles up the dust right up in the top middle of the roof where it joins onto the rear door. It just piles up with dust there. You open your door and poof, there's a cup full of dust lands in. It can, look, people are going to say, oh, that doesn't happen to me. Well, it's something else you got to carry that I didn't have to carry in the 120, although it's handy. I do it now that I've had to do it in the 150. In the 120 I carry the blower. It goes in the back door behind me here, so that as soon as I get out, I open that door, grab that off the floor. Kids will complain if they're in the car, but you get that, I'll just push it towards the middle or whatever, but comes out, blow the back door off a minute later before you can open it, because you know how it just gets covered in dust. The 150s are heaps worse than the 120s is my point there. So that's another reason why I like the 120s. I like the 120 because it's got an LSD in the rear. Generally all the ones that I've noticed or seen, so they might not all have them, but it has got an LSD, and some people say, oh, but it's crap. Well, I don't find that. I find the LSD just fine. It works how an LSD should and does work, and it helps you out on the tracks without technology and traction control having to come into the picture, which is, I suppose, a negative about the 120, but maybe that's a positive. Now, of course, another big one that I haven't really, because I didn't plan this, I just start talking, that's how I roll. The 180 litre tank, the extra 30 litres of fuel, 150 versus 180. The 120 Prados have got a 180 litre fuel tank, which I find so handy. I really do. Now remember, they're a couple of 100 kilos lighter, they're a little bit smaller, so they're going to be a little bit more aerodynamic. The other thing personally that I like is they're a bit easier to work on, because the intercooler's up top on top of the engine, easy to remove out of harm's way, where the front mount intercooler, I don't really think it works much better, although technically maybe it would in certain conditions, but then you've got all those flexible hoses running to it and from it, which creates a distance and a flexibility in those that can reduce performance compared to a fixed pipe situation of a top mount intercooler going direct from A to B instead of C, D, E, F, G back to there, right? And of course then rock damage to the intercooler possibly, which hasn't happened, so we shouldn't talk about that. What else? Yeah, it's just in the way of when you work on the vehicle down there, changing the radiator creates a fair bit more work. I like the simple dashboard layout of everything. It's all really simple. There's no extra crap you don't need. It's just a motor vehicle that's got everything you need, you know, electric mirrors, cruise control. I like the seat quality material. I'm looking at the ones here right now. 466,000 Ks, whatever it is, 467,000 Ks, something like that, right? And they're just awesome, right? The vehicle's been used, never had seat covers on it. They could probably do with a clean, but they're not bad. And, you know, I just like the layout. So the quality of the seats, the seat material, the console's large. Negative is the drink holders, you've only got two, but you know what, before we had two in each door and two here and two there and another, all these drink holders, we lived without it. Same as USBs, we live without it, but I've added in the extras onto the auxiliary battery. Easy to work on. It's an older vehicle, you've invested less money, you're more likely to get into it and have a crack yourself, because, you know, I don't know, if you've got a $100,000 car, hurts a bit more when you start ripping plastic trims off a new car. Well, it does for me on my cars, or your cars, so I've only got to assume that you feel the same. Once you've got a vehicle that's only worth 20 grand, whatever the case may be, it's a bit easier to have a crack, pull some trims off, risk breaking something, and you find, hey, these Toyota things, these are right actually, these are pretty good, and they generally come apart and things don't break. Follow the videos and the maintenance program, and you'll just be doing the maintenance, and with the videos it's easy. Okay, what else? Well, that's about enough on why I like them. There's lots of reasons why I like them. There's some of the big reasons. Pretty much, you could probably put it in point form and put it in the comments for me. That'd be awesome. Let's see how many people have a go at that. Point form, what do I like about the 120 Prado? Now let's just add a quick on what I don't like about the 120, what could be improved, and or perhaps what I like better about the 150. Now, when you jump into 150 Prado, diesel, same engine, 1KD for example, because they're both the most common in both models, it just drives better, it feels nicer, and it should, because it's a newer vehicle, even though most things are pretty much the same. So a few changes in suspension components perhaps, I don't know why, but the feel of the vehicle, it just drives nicer, which is good because it's a newer car and it should, and that's better than the other newer car that I drove, that 250, because I didn't feel that it drove nicer at all. I went, all my old cars drive better than this, and I've got a lot of old cars. Maybe it drives a bit better than the Hilux, because the Hilux has got the 4-speed auto. But back onto the 120, things I don't like. Okay, so the rear door, I don't mind the opening system and the locking mechanism. It works pretty well, but once you use the 150, you kind of go, yeah, that strut is nice. Yeah, you can get an upgraded strut, so that's one thing. Sometimes they push the door a little bit too hard, so maybe I think there needs to be some adjustment to that strut there, but it's something that I'd consider upgrading to myself. I think the strut thing is actually really good, so on the 150 I like that, although quite often I'll open it, I'll need to lock it, and then I'll forget to unlock it and go and pull the door, which happens on the 120 as well. You go to pull it and then it doesn't work, but anyway. 120, I like the rear windscreen wiper at the bottom behind the tyre without the spoilers, so that's all good. What don't I like about the 120? This is getting hard. What don't I like? Okay, so back to the drink holders, right? It would be good to have door drink holders, so they solve that problem with the 150. And the drink holders, instead of being right up here near the console, forward in front of things, which we've got. But now, like me, you probably find then the drinks are in the way of pushing the buttons and that. So you know what? I think I like the 120 better because the drinks are back next to the console lid, not in the way of anything at all whatsoever. So I take that back. The drink holder should stay at the back in front of the console, and the front of the console could be a storage box that you can close the lid on, keep it neat and tidy, and then you've got your USBs and your traction control buttons and your second start and your diff lock. So you know what? I can't even say it. So what I don't like, I'll try again. What I don't like about the 120 is it needs more drink holders, and that is one in each door. Got some goats over here on the left. 3 goats. So it just needs more drink holders. Whack a couple of drink holders in each door. So all they need to do, there you go, there's an idea. Aftermarket door trims for the 120 with that hold the stock standard speakers, and they've got a couple of drink holders instead. Tell you what, I reckon they'd sell, especially if you could maybe somehow just change the bottom half of the trim. Anyway, that's a pipe dream. So what else do we not like about the 120? You get the picture. It's not much I don't like about the 120. I like the 120, so that's why I like the 120. We'll maybe talk about what I like about the 150 a bit more in another video, because I'm pretty well liking all these things of the 120 over the 150. There's not much I don't really like about the 120. I would have loved to have a 3.3 litre twin turbo V6 engine out of a 300 series in it, because wouldn't that be just the absolute dream vehicle? A 120, a new 120 with a 3.3 litre V6 twin turbo diesel. Oh mate, wouldn't we be in heaven? Yep, no DPFs, no EGR, right? None of that stuff. Get rid of all the pollutions gear and we'd just be happy. Alright bloke, if you're in front of me here at the South Australia Rego and you were driving from Kimba towards Port Augusta on bloody 8th of, if you know anyone, on the 8th of February 2025, make sure you put a comment up or even send me a text message saying, hey, you were following me. Alright, catch you on the next one, people.